So this is an open letter to Kier Starmer on what you need to do, in my view, to make the UK a great country again for people to live, work and invest. And it's actually pretty simple. So the first thing we need to look at is taxes, of course. People are leaving the UK because of taxes. The UK isn't competitive. You do not get bang for buck on what you pay in taxes compared to what you get out in public services. So the first thing we need to do is look at taxes as they've only gone up over the past couple of years. And actually, we need to bring them down to where they were. So originally, corporation tax was due to go down to 17% under the Conservatives a good few years ago, and this needs to be honoured. Not up at 26.5% where it is now for the top rate. It needs to be competitive. It needs to be 17% across the board for corporation tax. Secondly, the income tax thresholds drastically need to be increased with inflation, as they've been the same now, not materially changed for at least a decade. They need to reflect the current living costs. Somebody earning £50,000, they're not well off. They shouldn't be a higher rate taxpayer. They're certainly not a high earner, and the tax thresholds need to reflect this. On top of this, you should reverse the VAT charges on private schooling, because actually this is a very, very stupid move to start with. People will no longer be able to send their children to private school, so they actually put them back into the state education system, incurring further costs for the already overworked and overrun schooling system that we have in the UK, because a lot of people, especially the middle class, can no longer afford it due to having to pay the VAT. So that needs to be cut immediately. So we're talking about the tax cuts. How do we fund these? So immediately, we need to stop spending money on overseas wars that aren't in our interest, that we have no involvement. We're not getting anything out of it. You look at Trump, as soon as he's talking about him getting involved in Ukraine, he's getting rich mineral deals out of it. The world isn't a charity, and the UK can't afford to be giving charity to all these different countries without getting anything back in return, without doing a deal. Secondly, we need to stop all illegal migration. Of course, migration is good where it's professionals coming to the UK, doctors, nurses. That type of migration is always 100% perfect, and it's good for the world. But the UK cannot afford to be giving any money to illegal migrants. And of course, off the back of that as well, we need to severely overhaul our actual benefit system for UK citizens and other UK residents. There are far too many people taking from the system and not contributing. It puts so much pressure on those that are contributing that they are overtaxed, as we're seeing, and as a result, they're leaving the country. So it needs to be a lot fairer for everybody, especially the harder working people, the middle class and the wealthy, who actually are, effectively they're the golden goose of the tax world. And so far, they're just being absolutely milked dry to the point where the golden goose is picking up its wings and flying somewhere else, which will be disastrous in the UK if this trend continues to happen. It needs to be reversed very, very soon before we reach the point of no return. And then lastly, the UK needs to become safe again. We work with lots of wealthy people, helping them leave the UK, and they leave for two reasons. Safety and taxes. For some people, the main motivator is bigger than others. A lot of people, it's purely tax related. A lot of them have had a lot of bad experiences living in Birmingham. They've had 3 Land Rovers robbed in a couple of months, and ultimately the police do nothing about it. So for the UK to be able to charge high taxes, people need to get a high standard of living back in return, and safety is one of those things. You see it in the news. I've seen it in my local Tesco's. People going in, taking what they want, and just walking out when they're not paying. The police just don't investigate the shoplifting. They don't investigate the watch crimes. They don't investigate the motor thefts, because there's just so many of them and not enough police. This, in my view, needs to be dealt with urgently, especially if they want to keep any millionaires. The UK needs to be safe. The wealthy Arabs, the wealthy people in London need to be able to walk and going around with their nice items without the massive risk of them being robbed, without your watch being taken off you when you're going about your day in London. That just cannot happen. Cars can't be stolen. There needs to be a massive investment into the police, so much so that there's a zero tolerance on crime. We'd stop locking up people's grandmothers for posting criticism of politicians and COVID and riots on Facebook, and instead actually start arresting real criminals with very harsh sentences for knife crime, for robbery. And absolutely, it's a main deterrent. They need to be investigated fully. These people need to be locked up for a very long time, so people think, actually, I'm not going to go take a knife out with me today because my boy over there got 10 years last time, because it's not worth it. They're not all the local crackheads aren't going to go rob Tesco's because they're going to get 3 years in prison for it. Okay, this is how strict we need to be if the UK is to be a safe place. A lot of people criticise Dubai for its strict policing. That's why there's zero crime. Drugs are illegal there. You can't be drunk and disorderly. That is why Dubai is a safe and nice place to live. Any foreigners come to the UK, commit crimes, deported, travel ban, simple as that. They can't come back in. That's how it needs to be if the UK is to be a nice place. So there we have it. There's everything that I would do. Hopefully Sir Kier Starmer manages to get a look of this video. Unlikely, but touch wood, it might happen. This is what you need to do to make the UK a great place again, in my view. What do you think? Have I missed anything? Let me know in the comments. Bye for now, guys.